Alright guys, back. Looks like there's been, election has been called. Now the reaction of the pound has been volatile. Down initially on uncertainty, then up on a little bit more certainty as what it is. The rumours were that she was going to call this election. Some rumours also saying that she was sick. But it's stepping down. But early election June 8. Now, you know, I've been thinking about how this is going to affect the pound, right? Is a stronger mandate negative? You know, perhaps not. Perhaps not. I thought that perhaps the uncertainty would lead to that, but given that the opinion polls basically suggest that she'll win in a landslide, then this could be the sort of the mandate she needs to negotiate a little bit harder. But it's not like hard Brexit is a shock to the pound. And you know, this rally that we're seeing, you know, suggests that at least some in the market think this is good. Now, I don't know. I'm very interested to see the reaction in the next, say, 10-15 minutes. And I'll bring you the exact statement if there is one. I mean, this is a very, you know, sort of political move. But the reaction, you know, to the buy side, I mean, lucky I had stops at entry on these trades, so basically got out at even on the short pounds. Yeah, so yeah, Corbyn's not a very good leader, and they're taking advantage of that, right? They're taking advantage of that. Now, if she gets more seats, I mean, basically, she's going to be in control for the whole Brexit, right? And perhaps this is better for the negotiations in as a whole. In other times like this, when I've been watching the market, what's important is, so you had this sell-off, the market spiked back up, as you know, sort of it's fighting about whether this is good or not. If this next little dip down, as people are thinking about what to do, is bought up again, that's another sign to go with the buy side. That's just price action dictating which way it's going. You remember the pound is very short, yeah, in terms of positioning, so a short squeeze is possible at any time. And if the market swings that this is actually a good thing, then it could be the trigger for the squeeze. Now, it's not the sort of squeeze I'd like. I'd rather have the market just sort of grinding up on better UK data and the lack of you know, Brexit news. This to me creates more uncertainty a little bit later down, you know, in May. But we're talking short term, what to do. Tempted to buy. I mean, I can understand the market trying to play this as nice, and you know, an election about unifying Britain. I mean, it's been all over the shop in the last 40 minutes what this is going to mean. But analysts are coming out suggesting that a bigger increase in the parliament, so she can get through. I believe is it 2/3 there. Andrew knows this a lot more than me for his own country, because I'm in Australia. But if they get a majority, then she'll be able to pass. You know, there was been this pushback in how she's been planning, because she didn't have the Tories didn't have a very strong win at the last election. So this one will give her the ability to shape her exit strategy as she sees fit. as if that is positive is the question. I'm just reading some of the analyst reviews now.
Government should call a general election to be held on the 8th of June. I want to explain the reasons for that decision, what will happen next, and the choice facing the British people when you come to vote in this election. Last summer, after the country voted to leave the European Union, Britain needed certainty, stability, and strong leadership. And since I became Prime Minister, the government has delivered precisely that. Despite predictions of immediate financial and economic danger, since the referendum we have seen consumer confidence remain high, record numbers of jobs, and economic growth that has exceeded all expectations. We have also delivered on the mandate that we were handed by the referendum result. Britain is leaving the European Union, and there can be no turning back. And as we look to the future, the government has the right plan for negotiating our new relationship with Europe. We want a deep and special partnership between a strong and successful European Union and a United Kingdom that is free to chart its own way in the world. That means we will regain control of our own money, our own laws and our own borders. And we will be free to strike trade deals with old friends and new partners all around the world. This is the right approach, and it is in the national interest. But the other political parties oppose it. At this moment of enormous national significance, there should be unity here in Westminster.
This is such a big level as well.
There is division. The country is coming together, but Westminster is not. In recent weeks, Labour have threatened to vote against the final agreement we reach with the European Union. The Liberal Democrats have said they want to grind the business of government to a standstill. The Scottish National Party say they will vote against the legislation that formally repeals Britain's membership of the European Union. And unelected members of the House of Lords have vowed to fight us every step of the way. Our opponents believe, because the government's majority is so small, that our resolve will weaken and that they can force us to change course. They are wrong. They underestimate our determination to get the job done. And I am not prepared to let them endanger the security of millions of working people across the country. Because what they are doing jeopardises the work we must do to prepare for Brexit at home. And it weakens the government's negotiating position in Europe. If we do not hold a general election now, their political game playing will continue. And the negotiations with the European Union will reach their most difficult stage in the run-up to the next scheduled election. Division in Westminster will risk our ability to make a success of Brexit, and it will cause damaging uncertainty and instability to the country. So we need a general election, and we need one now, because we have at this moment a one-off chance to get this done while the European Union agrees its negotiating position and before the detailed talks begin. I have only recently and reluctantly come to this conclusion. Since I became Prime Minister, I have said that there should be no election until 2020. But now I have concluded that the only way to guarantee certainty and stability for the years ahead is to hold this election and seek your support for the decisions I must take. And so tomorrow, I will move a motion in the House of Commons calling for a general election to be held on the 8th of June. That motion, as set out by the Fixed Term Parliament Act, will require a two-thirds majority of the House of Commons. So I have a simple challenge to the opposition parties. You have criticised the government's vision for Brexit. You have challenged our objectives. You have threatened to block the legislation we put before Parliament. This is your moment to show you mean it, to show you are not opposing the government for the sake of it, to show that you do not treat politics as a game. Let us tomorrow vote for an election. Let us put forward our plans for Brexit and our alternative programmes for government, and then let the people decide. And the decision facing the country will be all about leadership. It will be a choice between strong and stable leadership in the national interest, with me as your Prime Minister, or weak and unstable coalition government led by Jeremy Corbyn, propped up by the Liberal Democrats who want to reopen the divisions of the referendum, and Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP. Every vote for the Conservatives will make it harder for opposition politicians who want to stop me from getting the job done. Every vote for the Conservatives will make me stronger when I negotiate for Britain with the Prime Ministers, Presidents and Chancellors of the European Union.
I think they're going to run with that, guys. I think they're going to
run
with
Conservatives will mean we can stick to
a stronger,
for a stronger Britain and take the right long-term decisions.
Mandate
for
is
a more
good for the pound.
future.
I think that's what's takeaway going to be today. Yeah, I'm not risking a lot, right? I'm
that
just,
I decided the country needs this election.
My stop's
But it is
actually
with
not
strong
below the low,
conviction
right? It's just
that I say
halfway
it is
down.
necessary to secure the strong and stable leadership the country needs.
But you know,
to see
it's
us through
such an
Brexit
easy
and
win for them.
beyond.
I suppose she has
So
to get
tomorrow,
past the
let
vote
the House
tomorrow.
of Commons vote for an election. Let everybody
Is it possible for an opposition party to not want an election? I don't think politically viable for them not to vote for an election. They have to say that they can do better.
And continue to give the country the strong and stable leadership it demands.
All right. What we're going to see is just put it down a little bit. We're going to see the market react in the next couple of minutes. There's a bit of time on this as well. I mean, I want to see a break higher because the stops are so close here, and the breakout is so close here on the top side, that the risk reward to me is okay here on this trade. But yeah, no, obviously we have to take the view that this is positive for the pound, that she's going to win in a landslide and that Jeremy Corbyn can't. But you know, you don't know with UK politics. Perhaps there's going to be, perhaps there'll be a new Labour leader before then. I don't know if that's politically viable either. Andrew actually would be really good to have on this stream. I really want to hear what he thinks is the take here on the pound in reaction to this. I mean, in a sense, it does create more uncertainty, but with the potential of more certainty if she gets the mandate. So the uncertainty comes from the election, yeah, and how it actually fares out, how the polls are looking. But yeah, straight away, just looking at the unfavorabilities of Corbyn, you'd think that they would win, and if the market wants to play that as a positive for the negotiations, and that's, you know, that's enough for the pound to short squeeze. And this is definitely what the buyers are banking on. If it is choppy though, into the election, the House of Commons tomorrow, then perhaps it won't be enough follow through to break that key resistance up above. But a break of the key resistance should lead to enough follow through. Enough people will be looking at that saying, hey, you know, we've all the descending highs have now been broken. And, you know, looking to the top side straight away, you know, high 127s and then 130 is a bit of, you know, sort of target for the short squeeze, which is, you know, it's not a huge move in terms of how far we've come in Brexit world, but a move back towards 130 definitely is on the cards if we can get back above this level here. Actually less volatile than I expect. There really is indecision here about if this is good or bad for the pound. The FTSE drop that I was showing before, there's a lot of FTSE selling going on. That was a lot to do with miners generally. You saw that in Australian markets today as well. So let's not read it fully negative for this election sort of talk. This is, sort of before this sharp drop is before the rumours began about May. All right. So the key here is, you want to see this break above 126.10 in the next hour or so. If it hasn't done it in the next hour or so, I might just cut. Probably can't turn into ultra negative. You would have seen that already. Does that make sense? If you would have seen the ultra negative, so the fact that it's mixed means mixed sideways trading or upside to me, straight up, and I think the sellers are a bit worried now. The shorts will probably be a little concerned that this is good news for the pound, and the longs, probably getting a bit more aggressive. But that's just my take on it, on how this is going to play out. Downside is probably limited. Sideways is definitely a possibility before we get the vote tomorrow in the Commons. But I'm banking on actually a break higher. On the market ended up taking this as good news, and just a reason for the pound to rally. And that's all we need at these levels, to break higher. It's been grinding for a couple of weeks. Yeah, I wonder though in the next couple of hours what Labor's going to reply with, because Labor's going to have to come out with something, right? And say, that bring it on. You'd think they'll come out and say bring it on. We're happy to have an election against you. But immediate reaction is subdued. For pound, we're talking about something which we're used to a lot more movement. I'd be concerned if the Asian lows are broken actually today. Asian lows down here. Yeah, there's no way Corbyn can win in. You can imagine? I mean, what would he do? What, he would try to walk back the Brexit, would he? I mean, unless they campaign on, Jesus, and they won't campaign on that. They won't campaign on reversing Brexit, will they? Yeah. So, what's important now is, because it's a political currency, the pound, is there'll be a theme that develops, and then we'll have to play the polls in the next 4 weeks. And if it's strong polls for May, pound strength, then that's another reason to keep buying the pound, even though it's just crazy stuff, right? It becomes why we're buying pound. Or that's UK YouGov poll came out. Prime Minister's going to win 30 seats or something, right? And that's what we'll get every weekend. Next weekend's, the immediate reaction from Labor is going to be very interesting, but there'll be a theme which is a tradable theme in terms of the polls that we'll start to react to, and that's where we're going to get something. I think the bigger risk here is that Corbyn gets replaced. I'm not sure politically that's viable though, but it has to be on the minds. It has to be on the minds. If he's got really low polling, a replacement straight into the election by a stronger candidate could throw things up and make pound weak, yeah. But if it looks like, if the polls come out and it's just terrible, then it's but what is the time? I mean, in Australian politics, and this is why I'm going back to Australian politics, we have had many leaders replaced in elections, and into elections, and just prime ministers replaced while they're actually in power in the last 6 years. But yeah, the fact it's not going down to me at these levels suggests we're going high, and that's half the reason I'm risking here on the long side. Yeah, so Chris, you're right, mate. If the polls come out and they run on an anti-Brexit platform, which would be a dangerous platform to run on, then perhaps it will become a closer race. Especially if they promise things that might be very hard for them to do. Right. So good luck, guys. I'll be in the room, just generally. We'll see if we can break this. We'll break this level up here. That'd be really good. Some second wave here. Little attempt higher now. I'm pretty keen on this as the way to play it. But obviously you've got to be careful anytime you listen to a trader who's bought it and telling you to buy. Yeah, you always take that into the back of your mind. He sees what he wants to see. Alright, good luck, guys. We'll be in this together.